It will actually save
Have you just gone to the start?
as much, if not more, than tinkering with those
Oh,
apps.
you got it.
And
Yeah, if you just do CCC start.
people would,
Red or blue?
No.
Password? Like, what do you do? What's your?
would people rather have, extra hours or
And how about you log
sentences? What books you
This
require?
was the same.
Probably extra hours.
Yep.
Should I, if I just go Christchurch free?
But to me, it's just one of those budgets that just.
It says council
What are you
laptops.
logged in as?
Nothing.
What Wi-Fi are you tapped into?
None.
It's on mute.
You're
This is-
offline?
This is my offline one.
There.
Watch the hotspot.
Yeah, that's where you were.
What do we got, Sam?
No, it should. Oh, no, not.
Do we do the free one?
I've just gone into free.
Yeah, okay, I just.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I
Thing is
very
not
well.
lighting up. Come on.
You guys don't have like a username or?
Is that where the person comes in?
Get into your computer?
No, you just connect automatically.
So that's different to ours.
Is it lit up already?
Can I check that? You're done, Mark? Yeah, it's not working.
Try for it, just go free.
Yeah, it'll be insecure, so I won't go there.
What does that mean?
It can be easily hacked. Yeah, it's an open thing when you can't do that. See.
I don't know that. Marie, which Wi-Fi network are you logged into? Which Wi-Fi network are you logged
Should
into?
be staff.
We're struggling.
Oh, she's, no, she's a staff member.
Yeah, oh, yeah, true.
I'll just,
No,
I'll
but
just
then-
use the free one.
But these guys.
I'm using the free one right now.
I'll use it.
No good? We're all good. Right. Right, so welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. This is the general meeting of the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board. Now, if you're sitting in the gallery, the public gallery, thank you for attending. We welcome your interest in our discussions. And please note that the public gallery should remain quiet during the meeting. In case of an emergency, please exit via the door at the back of the room. There are 2 staircases to exit the building. Please follow staff directions in the case of an emergency. And toilets will be just out the door to the left, and there are 3 cubicles there. And a reminder that the meeting is being live streamed, and the recordings will be available on the community board's YouTube channel. So if you could please stand up for the karakia. Pakataka te ko ki te uru,
Pakataka te hau ki te tonga.
kia mā
Kina kina ki te.
kia mā taratara ki tai, e hia ana ki tatakura, e tio, e huka,
He hau
te hei mauriora. Now, at the close of the agenda, there were no apologies received. We have Debbie Mora, community board member for Halswell, is on Zoom, and yep. Declarations of interest. Do we have any members?
Yeah, one of the funding, one of the funding things on the.
Item number.
One of the funding things.
Yeah, one of the funding things. Yeah. Don't
Oh, the
you know what you're doing?
Hornby Community
No,
Care?
this is the Hornby Anglican Church put in for some funding.
So
St.
which report
Columbus.
is that?
Sorry?
Which
Funding.
report is that?
I forgot, I haven't got it up on the screen, so, but it's just one funding recommendations that that's all.
Anglican Church, anybody found?
Those are the 2.
There's the Emmanuel Christian School and
Citizens Advice Bureau.
Citizens Advice Bureau.
I think it's on there, it's on there.
Oh, we believe you. Right, or will you alert us to that when we get to that? That's right.
That's right.
All right. Just remind us when we get to that point. And then confirmation of previous minutes. That the minutes of the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board meeting held on Thursday, May 9th be confirmed. Any movers? Tyler, seconder, Andre, right?
It would be in the road, man.
Yeah, we do need to
Yeah.
vote.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? No. Carried. Okay. And so we move on to public forum. The first one that we had was Mr. Simon Taylor. I believe he will be coming to another meeting, not this one. So we move on to the next one is Beatrix Gilling. Welcome, Beatrix. You'll be talking about pedestrian crossing on Crike Road.
Lovely.
Okay, please have a seat. Yeah. And you have 5 minutes. The timer will be up there. Right, please.
Great. Kia ora. My name is Beatrix Gilling. I'm this is my 4th year at the University of Canterbury. And in the last, from the beginning of this year, I recently moved out to Avonhead. From Avonhead, there's a very easy bus for me to get to university, being the 1:30. The 1:30 comes along and stops outside of the university on Creek Road, above the engineering block, Rata building. And one of the complications with that is it can be a little bit difficult to cross the road there, as cars come by at the same kind of speeds, and it's a good bit of kind of turns, so blind spots can be there, and it can be a bit difficult to tell when it's actually safe to cross. And so I just came to the community board today to ask to look into some kind of crossing or other safety features for crossing the road from that bus stop over to the other side to get to uni.
Right, got Andre and then Tyler.
Thank you. Just in terms of what it might need, so there's no pedestrian refuge islands anywhere along that
No.
section from my look on Google Maps. So even that would make probably quite a bit of difference.
Yeah,
Right.
it's at the moment it's just a single white line through the middle of that section of the road.
Yeah.
And there's no like extra median or anything
Yeah.
that's there for anyone to potentially stop at in the middle.
If fair to say that's probably all it needs is just some form of
Yeah, it
refuge in the
doesn't.
middle of the road as opposed to
Yeah,
signalised.
it doesn't need like
cross-
stop lights. or
Yeah.
anything like that. It just needs
Something.
something simple.
Makes sense.
Yes, yeah, that one. There.
Right, I have, are you,
Yeah.
Right. I have Tyler and then Helen.
My question's been answered. But there is a blind corner around that area. The Finns have actually complained about that in terms of sight lines for vehicles. So just wanted to note that for staff. Because there may be a connecting project with that currently that Andrew knows about.
And might I remind also the board that this is at the boundary with Pendleton Waimari Community Board. So it will, are you going to speak to that other community board as well?
I probably should. I haven't arranged to do so yet.
All right, yeah, cool.
Yes, I wasn't quite clear which road. we were
Crake Road?
Sorry,
Crake Road?
Craig Road. Okay. Okay, yes.
Yes.
In terms of location, is that sort of where most people are crossing by those bus stops outside the engineering?
Yeah, most people,
Sort of
there's
on
a path that comes out directly from the university, and then
Oh, yeah.
there's a short little section of maybe 10 meters-ish where people average out to where they're crossing the road most often.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Yes.
Not so much a question, this is more, we make sure we refer that for advice from staff?
Yeah, so you got that, okay?
Further matters raised in the public forum presentation to staff and request advice.
Yes.
Request advice, and then you'll look into also speaking.
Yeah,
to the
I'll go
other
speak to the
Yeah,
other
talk to the other
community board as well.
All right.
Doesn't need to,
Nothing
just
to do?
once we get the advice back, we'll share it. with the other
Ah,
board.
okay, so I understand, you probably don't need to go to the other board.
Okay.
So once we get the advice from staff, we will share it with the other board. So we'll work together with the other board.
Wonderful.
All right,
Excellent.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Beatrice.
much. Next, we have Maya Riddler and Gusea Sania. please come forward. They'll be talking about pedestrian safety at the Kilmarnock Street and Darville Street intersection in Riccarton. Right. Welcome. Have a seat, please. Good. And you also have 5 minutes, right? You can proceed.
We have a presentation.
You have a presentation. Here we go.
Started.
Right.
Here, everyone. I'm Lucia. This is Maya, and we are Year 13 Christchurch Girls High student. And in this presentation, we want to bring forward a safety issue that's currently happening at our school. So, Kilmarnock Street, all right, is a busy street, especially for at the end of the school day, where all the school population is out on that street. The intersection, particularly Darville Street and Monavale Ave, become congested with Christchurch Girls High students trying to cross to go to the bus stop. They're also congested with parents trying to pick up their kids and inexperienced CGHS drivers. This combination makes that street really unsafe. And in this presentation, we want to show you guys how unsafe it is.
To investigate the safety of these intersections, we conducted several studies. We took photos, tallies, and surveys. For 1 week, we took photos approximately 15 minutes after school ended for each day. You can see some of the photos here. You can see students crossing unsafely, and some of them even running in front of cars. We also conducted tallies during that week. We recorded how many students used the Kilmarnock and Darville Street intersection and noted whether they crossed safely or unsafely. The definition of safely we used was whether or not they looked both ways crossing the road.
In addition, we also sent out a survey to the whole school population. Here are some results. An astonishing 66% of the students at our school found this crossing unsafe. Furthermore, almost everyone that we interviewed agreed that a pedestrian island at this space would be beneficial. These results clearly show that CGHS students feel their safety would be improved if there was an island at that area.
We also interviewed 3 teachers, one of them including the assistant principal. They also agreed that the intersection is unsafe. The school even has a duty system to help students cross safely, but while doing this investigation, we realized that these teachers' efforts to keep the students safe haven't been working. Another factor contributing to the danger is the speed limit. The current speed limit on Kilmarnock Street is 50 kilometers per hour, whereas it should be 30, as is typical for school zones. Moreover, Kilmarnock Street is missing from the approved interim speed management plan, which includes all school speed zones. This oversight means Kilmarnock Street is not treated as part of the school zone, even though it should be.
On the first article, we can see that the issue we're facing is not unique. That article, the girl crossing had a pedestrian crossing, yet she was still hit. We do not. In the second article, we can see that it's like widespread throughout New Zealand. The information we've gathered during this study clearly shows that this crossing is unsafe. The regular unsafe crossing behavior, heavy traffic, and current insufficient measures make this a critical issue. Installing a pedestrian island at this area is strongly supported by the school community and aligns with the best practices to protect students in similar situations. We believe that addressing this issue is crucial for the safety of our students. Thank you for listening to us.
Okay, I'll have questions, and I've got Mark and then Helen and Tyler. Mark, please.
Thank you. Thank you for your coming to the board and talking to us. I'm just a little bit confused. Is it Kilmarnock Street or Riccarton Road that you're referring to?
We're referring to the crossings on Kilmarnock Street, but the students that cross the street, use that street to get to Riccarton Road.
Right, and so that would be basically at the corner of the chateau on the park.
Yes,
is on that
yeah.
corner.
Helen?
Yes, I've got two questions. Do you find at times that cars have backed up from Dean's Avenue, so you don't have a crossing at all?
Yes,
Yes.
we have found that, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, they like stop in front of that crossing.
Yes,
So we can't cross, yes.
Okay. And the other question is, and this is sort of bad news, but are you aware that this area is targeted for intensification, which means higher buildings? And if you could flick that map back, there's already a resource consent
That map.
opposite Girls High School that allows for about 41 single bedroom apartments. Have you come across that?
We were not aware
No.
of it, no.
So basically what you're saying is it's more urgent. It's because of what's potentially going to happen. It's more urgent that we do something.
Yes.
That's probably not a question, it's a statement.
That's great.
Yes.
These development contributions help pay for exactly this.
For example,
That's great news.
yes, it's because it will get more intensified, regardless of whether it's controlled intensification or going to 10 stories as possible. It will be higher.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one last question. Tyler, please.
Kia ora. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm the councillor for Riccarton, so I'm the one that's probably going to be in charge of this project. I just wanted to ask if it'd be cool if I could catch up with the group, you guys, the assistant principal, and maybe nut it all out, and if I can have access to the data if possible.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, of course.
You guys did a phenomenal job. You've done jobs that council would most likely do, so
Yeah.
you've made things a lot easier. So thank you so much for coming in, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can integrate this into the future project planning. It's
Thank
really
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
But we'll also ask staff to look into this.
So refer the issues to staff and request an investigation to test food safety in the vicinity of that corner.
Of that corner and
Yeah.
level, yes.
Phenomenal work. It's awesome.
Thank you very much. And deputations by appointment, there were no deputations by appointment at the time. Yep, and there are also no presentation of petitions. So we move on to staff reports. If I can please call on the officer, Mr. Toby Chapman, come to the table, please. And we'll hear from Toby first, and then we'll have questions, and then first, second, and then debate if necessary.
Cool. I did put a presentation together, but I don't think I need to do it, to be honest. There weren't any deputations, and it sounds like it's pretty clear. But I'm coming to you with a number of tree planting plans for parks across your community board area. These plans have all been out for consultation. We've had feedback. We've made changes based on that feedback. And yeah, we've brought them here. If there's any particular questions about any individual parks, I'm happy to take them.
Questions, Helen?
Yes, Harrington Park, I tried to phone the Oak Development Trust this morning, haven't got through. They were concerned, I presume, about the foliage, and they wanted an more open space.
Yep.
So have they
Yes.
agreed to what's there?
Yep. So we met with them. We went through. They talked about how they use the park. We made a lot of changes to the park. We sent the plans back to them, and they're very supportive now of the changes. Yep. To the point where they showed us where they put marquees.
Yes, right.
And made sure we didn't put things in those locations.
Okay, no, that's
They've
fine.
been very
Thank
much
you.
involved.
All right, I've got Mark and then Tyler.
Thank you. Just regarding Denton Park, thank you so much for your work on that and for listening so well to the community. Just querying around the timing of
Yep.
some of that removal of cedars that were requested.
So if the plan gets approved today, then we will press go basically. So we've got the funding and things. The time frame will be based on access to the park. So we've got some rain coming on Friday. I don't know how wet that park gets, but we don't want to take a whole lot of trucks and things in there and ruin the ground. So we'll be waiting till it's dry, so we're confident that we don't do more damage. And then we'll also be looking at the contractors' availability because it's quite a big job. And we'll go in and we'll do all the trees at once, and we'll get it all prepped for planting. Yeah.
And I guess further to that, thinking about when the large trees come out, the use for the wood from there, is it something that the community could be involved with securing some wood for different activities?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when we do tree removals, the wood is actually, it can be problematic, getting the wood out of sight and taking it away. It's wet wood, so, you know, we can't do a lot with it at the beginning, so we don't cut it up, we don't turn it into firewood. It'll generally go back to the yard, get broken up and get put through the chipper. So if there's another use for a community group that want to use it, or there's somewhere we can take it, then yeah, we'll work with those groups. We're more than happy to do that.
Very good. So might refer a few groups to you to
Yeah, please
help you
do.
with that.
Yeah,
There's a couple of groups probably interested.
yeah, no, that's not a problem.
Right, I have Tyler and then Hank.
Kia ora, guys. Just wanted to highlight the agility of the team, and regarding a phone call today that I got, are you able to elaborate on the Holmes Park trees even after they submitted, they were unable to submit?
Actually, I went back through and they had made a submission. So sorry, I hadn't called them back, but I called them today. So their concern was around the 7 trees around their border, which looked like they were really close. So I talked to them about how far away they are. I'm going to go and meet them and show them where they are as well. So they're quite happy with that. The size range was between 5 and 10 metres. I said we'd max it out at 5. And instead of planting the full 7, I think we can get away with actually reducing it to 4. We'll get the same effect, but they'll still get their outlook. So we're happy to make those. We'll do that with them and work with them, and they'll have input into the species as well.
Just wanted to highlight the agility of the team. Thanks so much for your work. Thanks.
All right, Hank.
I guess Mark took most of my questions, but I'm interested in one in the area around the Delamain area, where we've got a stream and a lot of open ground that to me doesn't seem to be used. It might be, but I can't see it.
Okay.
And I wonder whether that's an area where we could put trees in.
Yeah, so going forward with the tree planting plans, so earlier on you would have seen I gave you 2 years worth of planting plan, 2 years worth of parks that we were going to propose. You're going to get another email saying ignore the second year. We tied our planting plan locations in with our garden renewal program, which was already well established, because we went, it'll be handy to have the guys going in and doing the tree planting at the same time that they're redoing the gardens. That hasn't worked out as well as we'd hoped. One, there's less there. They're doing more parks, so I don't think it's going to align anyway. And a lot of the parks that they were choosing already were established trees and established gardens. But with the great team here from the engagement team, on their webpage, they've put in recommend a park, and that's given us a heap of new locations. So we're using that. So we'll be coming to you going to some of the parks that have been identified.
39 so far. So
Wow.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've got a job for a while, then.
Yeah. So that'll help inform the next lot of plans. Plus, there's also some other locations that we've looked at where we're planting near. We've gone, actually, we'll locate those parks. So by all means, send an email to me if you've got any other parks, and we can start to put those in there as well.
And I would also shout out if the community, like if you want to help us promote that webpage to the community, especially if they have ideas for planting, that's really cool. It's just let's talk/tree planting plans, and they can submit their feedback whenever they want over the next couple of years, I think it is.
Oh, it's a 15-year plan.
Yeah,
so it'll continue to run, and we'll just keep knocking them off. The intention is to try and get 100 parks through for approval before next planting season. So we're trying to plant 50 parks every year, and that'll give us a year in advance, and then we'll try and get another 100 so that we can get 3 years of parks in advance, which will help with our growing on trees and getting everything scheduled. So you should see a lot more of these starting to come through to get us ahead.
Okay, and the other park was Broomfield Common.
Yep. So Broomfield Common, we're aware that you're interested in planting there. There's a project underway at the moment with our parks planners who have someone from the technical design team drawing up a plan for that park, because there's a few other things going into that park, like bridges, pathways, and aligning those. Once we've got those aligned, they're aware that we're trying to plant forests in there as well, so they'll be incorporating that. But until they've done that work, we're not doing the tree planting, but that's underway at the moment. So as soon as that's done, the next step will be to start to incorporate trees into it.
Good.
All right, Mark?
And we were talking briefly before the meeting around Templeton Cemetery, and whether there's any possibilities of getting some tree planting into there.
Yeah, it's not an area I've looked into, but it's something that we can certainly add, and we can have a look into it. Yeah, I'm not sure of what's going on in Templeton with that that area. So yeah,
It could be an interesting one to get some easy canopy established ahead of the cemetery one. So
yeah,
thank you.
Anybody else has any questions?
Yeah, I've got one which is a bit cheeky, really, but never mind. You can always ignore it. On the Waipuna Speedway boundary by Haskett Road, in particular, and around that corner a bit, I know they're building a bund, and I realise that you guys already donated some trees or shrubs or something for that, but it's a bit outside their area of expertise, I think, and I do feel that I wonder if it's possible for you guys to give them a helping hand and plant some trees around that area just to cut the noise down. Noise is an issue around racing cars.
Yeah. I used to work for a company that ran out from that area, and it was very noisy. I mean, they can get in touch with us, and we can certainly see what we can do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Andre?
That's just compliments on the engagement. I walked past a park. This is how you have your say. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, makes a whole lot of sense. Thought it was really good. So.
Right, Mark?
I'm happy to move if you like.
Hold on. I still have a couple of questions, but I do tend to tune out when I'm looking at my notes, so do tell me if it's been asked already. Is the 260,000 cost for the whole project citywide or just the board area?
Just the board area.
Just the board area. And also, if the plans are approved, you mentioned we are going to have an additional 520 trees.
I think it's around
in
that.
the report, yep. But would you by any chance have it in your mind, what is the change in percent coverage when we approve these plans?
I'll be honest, I started putting it together before I was coming to this, and then realised I mucked up a calculation and went, I can't bring it to you, but I'm happy to email what that canopy increase will be. Yeah, sorry, there were some changes to a plan which I forgot to incorporate, so the numbers will be wrong.
Cool. That's fine. So we thank you very much. No more further questions. We'll ask you to please sit back.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. And we have a mover, Mark, and seconder with Andre, correct? Yep. And any debate? Mark, please.
I'd just like to echo Tyler's commendations to the team. Thank you so much for your work on this. It's been a great journey to see the engagement with the residents, and the way we listen to the residents through this process, I think, has been absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much for your work. This is I think, a good step forward. And of course, the main park I'm referring to is Denton Park. It's good to see the progression of moving on from the old problematic trees that have been causing the neighbours on Kathleen Crescent so many problems for so many years, and to see those being dealt with. And then we're going to be replacing it with 2-for-1 at least to up the coverage and to keep the coverage at the same percentage with those being removed. I think going forward is a great result. And thank you so much for all your outstanding work on this. And I look forward to continuing to work with the team going forward with other parks in the Hornby area, so we can get to a point where we're increasing the canopy of our area remarkably. So thank you so much.
Anybody else want to say anything? Good. Right, so I will now put the motion. Are we going to do it in a block, 1 to 7? You're all happy to do that? So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Toby.
Thank you.
Right.
Cheers.
That's Debbie. Right, next item on the agenda, we've got Epsom Road, Middle Park Road intersection. If we can have Edwin, please come forward. Thank you. We'll hear from you first.
Okay, Ms. Chair, I gather that you all read the report and yeah, happy to answer any question. Yeah.
Right, okay, Mark?
Thank you for your work on this, Edwin. I did have a question. I think Faye, by and large, has answered it for me, but I just wanted to check, because we've had a problem in the past where we've gone and put some no stopping lines in, and then the locals have suddenly seen them going and go, hey, what's this? And I just wanted to make sure that the residents immediately there will be losing a little bit of parking potentially. Are they aware of this? We heard from them.
I have actually sent out the consultation letter to all the immediate residents there, and I don't have any. I didn't receive any feedback or submission, so I gathered they're all pretty happy, and we actually it's actually at the corner, so you're not supposed to park at the corner anyway. So I actually leave out some space for them, like maybe 1 or 2 in between, so they can actually park just in front of their houses. Yeah.
If there is a complaint, it'll come when you put the first bit of paint on.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else has any questions? Helen?
Just a question. You didn't put a give way sign in, and the roads look much the same, but they aren't. So what was the reason for not doing a give way sign at Middle Park?
So in the report, you actually see I'm putting another option in there,
Yes,
but I
have it as well.
ruled it out because of there's no crashes for the past 10 years.
Okay.
And I, decided maybe it's to save costs, and then it doesn't justify there for one day now. So that's why
See how it goes first.
Yeah, see how it goes, and then
Okay.
if there's a future any question, then we can look at that.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
No more questions? Thank you, Edwin. We can step back. Yep.
Thank you.
And do I have a mover? Yeah, Tyler and
second.
Helen seconder. Mover Tyler, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, yeah, I had a couple of residents tell me to hurry up and get it done, so I'm looking forward to just getting it over the line. Excuse the pun.
He's not speaking. I'll speak then.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody else wants to say anything? I will put the motion, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. And now we move on to Wigram Road Maintenance Depot and Staff Facilities. If I can get Mr. Guy Williams and Richard Gibbs.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Guy. This is my first one of these, so
yes, so be easy on him.
hope it goes well. We've prepared a small presentation.
Okay, thanks.
Just bring it up. Wait.
It's frozen.
Yeah, I know. That's not.
No.
Oh.
It's the end.
Now, with any luck, you'll be able to use that, but it's not always reliable. So if necessary, I will have to take over.
All right, well, we'll go to the next slide, please.
Cool. So the purpose of our report is to seek landover approval through the delegation of this community board to use the land to build a new maintenance depot and staff facility on a parcel of parkland at 141 Wigram Road, and also to take the opportunity to update the community board of a future concept plan of land surrounding the depot.
So this has come about because, as you know, the parks maintenance contract is coming in-house on the 1st of July, and we need 2 new depots to house all the equipment and staff to manage all the parks around the city. So for those of you who don't know the site, and I've only recently discovered it, this is the area wedged between Wigram Road and the southern motorway. That coloured map you see is just a contour plan of the site. So anything green is on the sort of top right-hand corner is fairly flat. As it moves towards the west, where the colours change more to yellow and orange, it increases in height. But there's actually, it's pretty flat overall, only about a metre of fall over 300 metres of distance. So there are two parcels of land that we're looking at. There's the bigger parcel, which is predominantly the green area, which is where the depot is being proposed to be located. So we're coming here simply to get approval to use the land to build a depot. We're not asking you to approve the depot as such, because that's in very early stages of design. Okay, next slide, please. So that's what it looks like at the moment. It's a pretty nondescript piece of land with some very long grass. It's being currently grazed. The grass is about half a metre high, so it's a fairly difficult task even to walk through it. But it's quite a large, it's about the size of Lancaster Park, if you've been there recently. It's a pretty big piece of land overall, but we're only talking about a small portion of it for the purpose of this meeting. Okay, next slide, please.
So on this slide, you can see the site. The area with the blue square is where the depot is being proposed. It's the most suitable location on that site. Can you go to the next slide, please? And this is the proposed layout, which is in that blue space. Next slide, please.
So just looking at the bigger picture, and this is really just very early stages, heads up. As you may be aware, the council recently approved the sports field network plan, and part of that plan was to build 6 hubs around the city with 2 artificial turf fields per hub. This is one potential site. I mean, the sites are not identified. We're waiting obviously till the 1st of July and beyond to do the real planning, but it's worth doing a little bit of early investigation to see where we could locate these facilities, mainly because from a consenting point of view, there are certain things that are going to be quite challenging: the floodlighting, parking, noise. So we don't want them near residential areas as possible. We don't want to put them on top of existing parkland and sports fields, because we want to keep the green space. So this is a potential site. So that's the 2 rectangles you see on that. The 2 parcels of land, if you can just see the blue line going through the left-hand artificial turf, that's the demarcation land, that line between the 2 titles. The right-hand larger block where the car parking and the depot is proposed to be located, that is a fee simple title, and then the smaller block on the left is recreation reserve. So it would allow us to extend an artificial field into that parcel of land, but we possibly need to take up a bit of it. The irregular shaped piece at the bottom in green, just on the left adjoining the motorway, that is proposed to be a turf farm to supply turf for repair of the Takaha Stadium once that's up and running. It's about 7,000 square meters. We're still going through that whole procurement of the playing surface. It's not an easy negotiation, because with a stadium, the last piece to get built is always the field of play. So if everything else is late and the field of play is late, then we could be have a problem. So there's looking at options and opportunities to grow the turf off-site and bringing it in, so that we don't end up with any delays. So there's no expectation of approving any of that. We're just giving you a heads up, really. We'll obviously come back when there's a nearer, more detailed design. Okay, so there's another slide, isn't there? Yeah. So the recommendations are obviously to receive this report, and we've got this right. The second recommendation is really just to approve the piece of land that were identified for building a depot on it. And obviously there's going to be a whole host of consenting and That's going to be the tricky part. We won't need to get all the staff parking will be within the depot, so we don't need to worry about the blue car parking, which will be part of the consenting for the artificial turfs, should that go ahead. But the main issue, I think, from a consenting point of view is the access and the transport into it and all that sort of thing. So that's currently being looked at, obviously, in some detail, and consent will be applied in due course. So that's where we're at. Anything else?
I've got Sarah and then Andre.
That's fantastic. It's very exciting. There was the slide that you had the picture of, there was a blue portion to the.
Yes.
What was that? Did I miss?
The blue was car parking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which will be part of the artificial turf consent.
Okay.
If that goes ahead.
So staff car parking is accounted for on the area.
Within the surrounds of the depot building. Yeah.
And the access way is from
Wigram Road.
Wigram Road, not the Napuna way.
Well, yeah, that's still being resolved at the moment. There was a consent that I think has been submitted for access through Napuna way into. But because it's just the depot that we're talking about, and the access to that will be predominantly out onto Wigram Road.
Whereas the access to the car parking for the fields will be through the Napuna way.
Well, probably both.
Okay.
But that hasn't been consented yet or resolved. Yeah. There's a lot of issues I think to work through.
Of course. Sorry, jumping the gun.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Andre?
Thank you. There's some local clubs that would be very enthusiastic about artificial fields nearby. Maybe there. I'm saying with confidence we're getting an NRL team based in Christchurch.
Yeah.
But with that, they need space for their training academy and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge on that and what sort of amount of space they would need and whether something like that space would be big enough for it? Purely out of curiosity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably won't want us to play or train an artificial.
No. They would be their own space, if you will, and they wouldn't be using a council.
Yeah, well, I would say generally a sort of national team or a franchise team would certainly have a premier field and probably a couple of training fields. So we're probably talking about 3 to 4 hectares of playing space plus the buildings.
Yeah,
is what they might be looking for.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be enough. So what we're looking at here wouldn't be enough space or something like that, is what we're saying. Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
Got Helen and then Sarah.
There's been concern from Halswell residents about a lack of access from Wigram Road, which they were semi-promised.
Right.
So is this potentially part of this, or is this a separate project? What's concerning the Halswell residents as they're going through a suburban street? And they've been semi-promised, I think, that there will be access from Wigram Road.
That is the long-term plan. And I mean, I was at a meeting with all the transport people yesterday, or day before, who I'd never met before, but what the planning people wanted was to have the consent for the entire site and what you're talking about all done in one hit. But I think that we have to get the depot up and running first. So we're looking at that as a separate item. But it doesn't mean to say that the consent isn't being done for the throughway.
Okay.
But there are, I believe, some challenges there because I think transport are particularly worried about it being basically a rat run from Wigram through to Augustine Drive. So those issues have to be worked with the control of that traffic.
Okay,
but the roading is being gradually improved from Napuna towards Wigram Road.
Good.
So work in progress. It's good.
Right. Sarah?
To do with the fields.
Yeah.
What sort of, are we talking rugby union, league, football?
There'll be joint rugby union and football. So there'll be a third generation artificial turf with 50 millimetre long pile and a shot pad.
Cool.
So both uses, yeah.
Awesome.
Right. I have Debbie and then Mark, right?
Yes, hello, Debbie Mora here from Halswell. Just wondering how long your depot will be intending to stay there for. Do you have any idea?
Forever, 50 years. I mean, the building will be a 50-year lifespan, I would imagine. It's a long-term proposition. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Mark?
I'm happy to move.
A second. Okay.
Have we got the recommendation correct? Because I know we had a.
Yeah, I think there's a significance
Yes.
in the middle, but
Yeah.
it's in our agenda.
Yeah, okay.
It's up on the screen here. It's the
Yeah.
start.
So, yeah, so we've got the mover and the mover Mark,
Yep.
seconder Sarah. And thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Presentation.
Nice to have finally got to this. It would have been to just about all of them except this one.
Mover, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, might as well. Why not? Hey, I'd just like to say thank you to the team again. Good work. It's good to see this depot looking to land.
Yeah.
With the establishment of the parks coming back in-house. It's a landmark time for the council to come back in-house with that. And great to see this looking to be established in this location. I think that's good news for the land.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess, recently purchased or back off the AMP, and this is good to see a good use for that parcel of land now to be good for the city. So, yeah, thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Do we have anybody else who wants to say anything? I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you.
Hank, is it Citizens Advice Bureau? Is it the one you're
We are moving fast in the agenda. And so in item 10,
So this is the one you might have.
Bad luck.
sorry,
This is not that one. No. Okay.
Moving fast.
moving fast, yes.
Happy to move.
Yeah.
So we've got Sam, no questions. This is the discretionary response fund applications. We've got, thank you, Sam, no questions. We've got Andre who's moved it and
Tyler.
seconded by Tyler. And debate, no. I'll now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Item 11, progress on community board plan priorities. We've got Bailey.
I'll also take this report as read.
Any
It's a really good update on the progress we're making against our board projects. The Better Off funding has helped a lot with that, and the team will continue to support projects that support the board's priorities.
Okay, thank you, Bailey. Any questions? We've got Mark. Who else? No? Okay, Mark, please go ahead.
Yeah, just sort of follow up on the email I flicked in, querying about the NZTA involvement in the master plan.
Yeah, so we've passed that on to staff for comment.
Yeah, cool. As I sort of mentioned in the email, I have been in contact with James Cagle at NZTA, and some of their projects that they're proposing in their State Highways Improvement Program is going to impact in this quite well, and we need to work together to make sure we get the best results.
Anybody else? Any questions? No? Do I have a mover? Okay, I've got Sarah and then Mark.
Cool.
Anybody? Check on Debbie. Right.
That's Debbie.
Sorry, I'm still here. Did you say something?
So we were checking if you had any questions.
No, if I did, I'll put my hand up.
Okay, cool. All right. So, no, debate mover speaking. Do you wish to speak to the motion? No. Okay, I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried.
Oh, good.
Item number 12, it's the community board area report. Bailey again.
I'll also take this
That's-
report as read.
as read. Any questions? No? Any movers?
I'll move it.
Oh, Helen moved,
Yeah.
seconded by Hank. And no debates. I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 13, Community Service and Youth Service Awards. Now, the list of nominees was separately circulated as a confidential document. So for any questions or discussions of the nominees, the meeting needs to go into PX.
Can I ask, do you want to actually do elected members exchange first and then go into PX?
Do we need to go?
No, do we need to go into PX first?
Yes.
We need to.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Can I just clarify? We only need to go into PX if there's going to be some discussion about the nominees.
There will be some discussion.
I think there will be, yeah, I
Okay.
think there will be.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's better to get it approved. People
Right,
approved.
so,
So do you
we'll-
want to do elected members exchange first?
no,
So you'll go into PX and come
we'll
out
go-
and then
yes.
do elected members exchange.
Right.
Okay.
so what, it's,
You haven't got public yet.
no, we'll go into PX now.
Can you just hold on a minute?
Okay, hold on a minute. Debbie will still be in.
No, Debbie will need to leave now. Debbie will leave the meeting and we'll call her separately.
You heard that, Debbie?
Yes, I have. I arranged earlier.
So
We're back streaming.
we're back, okay, Debbie's back in, confirmed, okay. So, just any questions?
Happy to move.
Happy to move, Andre, and seconded by Mark. Any debate? No? I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Okay, carried. And now we move on to our last item, the agenda.
Previous page.
Previous page. Here we go. Active members information exchange. Who do I have first? Helen?
There's been some debate, or has to be debate, about how we give out our civic awards. Talk to Marie. We think the best thing is to do it at our briefing in 2 weeks' time, to have a discussion about it. There has been money approved, but it does seem to be for, it's not approved of, it won't go as far as food. Is that correct, Bailey? It seems to be more for
So
certificates.
tomorrow you will receive a memo
Yes.
with all of this year's SCF applications, which also includes the board projects for the next year. And that we've outlined the process for the community garden and community service awards, just to confirm what is happening this year, which is the trial that we agreed on last year, for the award to be delivered out in the community, and then next year at the Garden Pride. But that's all outlined, and then if there is any discussion or feedback changes, then that's the opportunity
Because I
for you to
think
do
that,
that.
I came away thinking it was up for discussion, and yet it seems to have got, so it's a discussion. It's not about the garden awards so much, that's been done, but more about the board awards.
Yeah, so tomorrow's memo outline
Okay.
what we've planned.
And the other thing that's just come into our emails is that we've been invited to do a submission on the regional policy statement, because we did a submission on the spatial plan. So I think it's really critical for Riccarton and Hornby that we do submit on this regional policy statement, but there could be a whole range of other issues as well, like water and air quality.
I'm just looking at that email we got this afternoon, though. Isn't that limited in its scope at the moment? And it's still actually very tight, and it's only selected groups like in this case, it was the water zone committees that were being consulted. It wasn't so much about the whole RPS.
Oh, not sure. I just skimmed it.
I think it was quite tight.
So it's quite tight. And it sounds like we've been invited to do it as a precursor to formal submissions, because we did something on the spatial plan.
And they're trying to keep it quite tight.
So it's
not
tight.
make it public just now.
Yeah. So it's probably on urban density, probably.
Did you get, Helen, did you get an invite to make a submission on this one? Because I do know that
yes, we have been. Our board's been
the water
invited.
zone committees do not have in the terms of reference to make submissions. That's why they are invited earlier to provide feedback.
The email I got was because we've made a submission on the spatial plan,
right?
That we were able to do an early submission, I suppose is the word, on the regional policy statement.
Okay.
So I guess if we have a look further at what it's, I think end of July. So
okay,
I will look into this, but normally the board wouldn't submit to a regional policy statement. Normally that would be something the council would submit on.
Yes, I know.
And the board would be invited to
contribute
to the council submission. But I'll look
have
into
a look,
it
because
for
we
you.
seem to be invited because of the spatial plan. No, that's all. It seems quite quiet on the board at present. So I think all the work's being done at council, is it?
Sure, we can find a way to spice things up.
So all good.
It's all right. Yep.
Tyler?
I was going to ask actually a question in regards to the Summer with Your Neighbours review. When is that coming up?
So that's included in the memo.
And okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. For elected members one, surprise, surprise, it's very Riccarton focused again. I'll start with the long-term plan, and we had quite a few submitters come in and talk about various projects that they wanted to keep on. The ones I wanted the public to know about was the Deans Avenue Precinct Association. Claire actually talked about the Northern Line and maybe holding on to that project to make streets safer for the cycleway and also pedestrians. There was also talk on the use of safe crossing points on Deans Ave, and also the sales yards yet again. So we need to continue to make sure that that group is set up for that. And there were more things around the Kilmarnock catchment again was unsafe crossing points. And it's quite funny and ironic. Girls High came and gave a deputation on that today. And in terms of the development that's happening over Riccarton, there's quite a lot going on. I just wanted to give a shout out to transport staff because it took 3 council meetings, 3 finance and performance meetings and 2 community board meetings to get Wharenui Road resurfaced. It's really cool to see that it's getting asphalted and not chip sealed. And that's a massive win for Riccarton because there was a bit of a cough up there. There's also asphalting going on Blenheim Road currently. And the one that surprised me the most was Racecourse Road. The Racecourse Road, the Oldhurst Road intersection.
That's dangerous.
That's definitely dangerous. And when I was talking to residents at the start of my job in council, that was their biggest issue in terms of the right-hand turn. I don't believe that it goes far enough, but due to the timeframes and the change in government and change in design principles, we're going to get some changes there, but we're soon to see what's going to happen. So the good news is it is getting developed. It just really depends on what it looks like. For the long-term plan coming up, we are all going to have some amendments that are going to be coming across the line. For me, it's my portfolio focus and also the ward focus, and it's spanning from Deans Ave all the way down to Sockburn, which include the community board priorities. One thing that's surprising was the craft funding is looking to be pushed out into 2025 of $1 million for Riccarton. I'm not too happy about that, so I'm trying to pull that back because that was a community board priority. Wharenui, I've put an amendment for Wharenui Pool. I'm still waiting to hear back from staff on that, which includes a huge uplift in support for them. And I'm going to be asking for my support from council. It won't be in the 2 years that the rates are going to be quite high. It'll be further out where it's a bit more palatable. And lastly, for youth and safety, there was some money that's been proposed to be cut in terms of safety around schools of around $1 million. I'm looking to bring back $400,000 or $500,000 into that into FY 25-26. I don't want to see that be cut. So there's quite a lot going on in this space, but I'm really excited to see what it looks like come next week. It's actually not far away, the deliberations, and then the community board's going to be able to see exactly what's going to be happening for Riccarton, Halswell-Hornby. Kia ora.
Tyler,
can I have a question? Why would they cut funding for safety around schools? Surely there's other things which can be cut.
There is. In draft 4 of the budget, actually Jono DeWitt, who's a resident here, he actually raised it and he flagged it to me in a submission. So I was able to look at it and see that they were cutting safety improvements.
Wow.
So I'm still asking for the answer back for that question, but my amendment is to bring back at least half of it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Andre, thank you.
Yeah, Halswell Junction Road. So we had a resident from Copper Ridge come and speak to council June last year, and it's something that was also raised in public forums here when the Kainga development was going in about pedestrian safety improvements, Halswell Junction Road. So someone's kid got hit by a car, and council's response has been a year later to put in a warning sign on the road saying pedestrians. To me, that's not a reasonable response. A kid get hit by a car and all we do is put a sign up and hope it doesn't happen again. It's obvious the infrastructure needs changed. So I'm a bit gobsmacked by that.
It's a busy road, isn't it?
It's a very busy road. There's a pedestrian refuge island, but a tiny one for a great big busy road where average speeds are 60, 70, a big portion of them trucks. But to me, that's absolutely nuts. So anyhow, I've put it forward as an amendment for the long-term plan. I've been told anything further would have to go through that. So hopefully something can be done through the long-term plan. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, anyone who's had their kid hit by a car somewhere, if the response was put up a sign a year later, they'll be pissed. So yeah, I think we need to be quite careful how we manage that one. That's all for me.
Right, I have Debbie.
Yes, hi, I've just got two small things here. I'm just, the first one is, are we setting up a submissions committee? We have talked about this for some time.
The board resolved, when it set up its governance arrangements, not to have a submissions committee, and instead delegated the power for submissions to the chair and deputy chair. So
Yes.
that's how our arrangements sit at the moment.
Yes, I understand that. Thank you for that recollection, Faye. But there has been since discussion to have that because of subsequent complications in putting matters to council, etc. So are we, and we had said that we would choose to re-look at that, and it hasn't happened yet, and I'm just wondering if this is going ahead. Helen, you might have some more insight, I don't know, but it has been talked about for a long time.
I think someone would have to move it and second it. I mean, I think it's got some merit actually. To have
so we do it.
So you'd have to do a notice of motion.
So we can't do anything about it at an elected member's
Okay, so the idea is to do a notice of motion, is that right?
It doesn't have to be a notice of motion, but it does need to come formally to the board to record. There's a formal board decision in place, so there needs to be something to depart from that.
So do we just bring that to your attention now that we perhaps want to formally bring it to the next board meeting? Is that how we do it?
Just checking the process, Debbie.
Marie.
This is something that the board discussed.
Well,
board wants us to do
informally.
We could discuss at our next briefing potentially.
Yeah, we haven't been asked
No,
to look into
no,
that
not formally.
Is the status quo not working?
So, I mean, Debbie, I think either it's a notice of motion, or B, we discuss it at our next briefing meeting and see what people feel about it.
And further to the process, Marie, does it need to be a majority, or how is it working?
Yes.
And in answer to your question, Andre, there has been complications in recent months about situations that you may or may not have been aware of. So, and we had thought that we had discussed amongst ourselves that perhaps we need to set up a separate submissions committee, because that worked, and it has worked for the last 10 years that I've been on the community board. It's given the opportunity for other people to chair and deputy chair and to take some, responsibility there. I know it's taken some stress off the staff with having to advertise and to not have a formal meeting, etc., and it would need to be formalised then. I understand that also, but I'm just wondering what the process is. Is it going to need to be a majority or
Board to relook at it? We'll relook at it. We'll do a report.
So would it be a decision just of community board members, because only community board members are on that committee?
So I understand from Faye, yes, it is a decision of the community board members.
Sorry, Debbie, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Whether to set up a submissions committee is a decision for the whole board.
The whole board. It's the whole board, so including council.
Yes, including.
Okay. No, that's all right. Just wondering.
Yep. Other bodies other than council.
Yeah, well, I imagine the councils will be pretty happy to go with whatever the board members want.
And I think other board members have submission committees, just not ours.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that it's the first time we haven't in the last 11 and a half years.
That's what the board agreed to do.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just emphasising that there has been complications by not having one.
Yep.
We've been quite quiet this year, haven't we, in terms of submissions?
No.
Oh,
We
that's
haven't had
probably
any.
what I'm saying.
Submissions committee.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the thing is if we could raise it informally at our next briefing session.
Well, I'm raising it now, so it doesn't matter.
Or if you want to make a formal notice of motion, you can do that.
So have we got a process clarification going forward? I know you mentioned before, Marie, you were just
So,
checking it.
yeah, so we'll ask staff to look into the process and to come back to us on that.
But don't do a notice of motion.
Okay,
But
thank you.
not a notice of motion.
You know that.
Okay, the second point, Debbie?
Yeah, the second question is there seems to be a bit of an outcry in Hornby over, and I'm getting feedback in regards to the poll, in regards to the women's only session on a Thursday from 3 till 9 p.m. Men can't make it, and that's the only available time that they can spend with their boys or their, or their particular boys groups or and so on. And I've had to say, well, our board had no input into that. So I'm wondering, I understand some people have come forth and made complaints. I'm not sure if our board is aware of it, but I'm just wondering if we could find out where we're at with any complaints, because and once again, I've had to say, well, our board have had no input in that, and they're somewhat surprised about that. But do you know where we're at with anything? If you've heard of any complaints coming forward, I understand there might have been something illegal, or I'm not sure where they're going. But I know that even on Facebook, there's been an absolute outcry. So.
I'll just say that's an operational matter, how the pool is run, and if there are complaints, then the staff would be dealing with that as they would any complaints.
I could probably shed some light on that for you, Debbie.
So my question is are we up to date on that? It's just that I'd
Mark,
like to.
Mark would like to say something.
Debbie, I can bring you up to speed on that, because I was copied on the email from the party complaining about it, and it currently sits with the legal department for an opinion to respond to their communication.
Okay.
So we will be updated, of course.
That's good to know. It's just that it would be good as a board to be kept in the loop so that I can go back and respond where it's at instead of going back.
I attempted to talk to the party who's complained on Sunday, but they were not able to be spoken to.
Can I ask?
They chose not to be spoken to.
Oh, they probably were they're not available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is that it, Debbie?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's all good.
What I'll be doing on this as well, I've got Nigel Cox, the head of Rec and Sport, is working on it, and he's referred it to legal. And I am going to talk to Nigel and see if there is any way that we can potentially get something opened up on a Thursday night for this boys group. It's boys brigade in Hornby basically that want to use it on a Thursday, and see if we can come to some arrangement whereby there could be a night that they could be able to make access.
Right.
Thank you. At 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
3 to 6 for
it's a long time being 3 till 6.
Right. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Mark. Andre, you got something?
Oh, no, yeah. We'll hear more about it later. I was wondering how successful it's been. My understanding of the Linwood pub was the women's only sessions have been extremely popular and well supported. I was just wondering if it's an indication if that's the case in Hornby.
Happy
or
to
too early to
see
say.
how that's going.
Yeah.
I actually thought perhaps you should have a male night actually too.
Well, that's been asked as well.
If you're going to have a women's night,
They used to at
have a
Centennial
male
Hall.
night.
Yeah. But
Moving on, I've got Hank and then Mark.
Waipuna Speedway and the motorsport complex for a long time have been concerned and quite right. So in discussion with council about the noise that they make, and they have some very tight regulations. Part of the deal, my understanding that part of the deal when the council and them came to a conclusion was that the council bought some of the properties along Haskett Road so that they wouldn't be built on, because that's just too close. You can't control the noise that far from a car.
I was there. Yeah.
Okay.
5
so my understanding now, and the concern of the committee is that at least one or some of that land has been bought by one of the churches for a temple.
Yes, Sikh temple.
And
a Hindu.
yeah, and that seems a little bit silly when they met there the other Sunday on a particularly busy.
Yeah, I can speak to this one because I checked at council when the decision came to council with the group that were buying it, and their response to the fact that there's loud noise across the road was that, hey, these temples are normally in the middle of Calcutta, so the noise is nothing to them. So it was reversed. There
It's not an
is
issue
protection
for them.
in the sale and purchase agreement for council regarding reverse sensitivity to noise. So don't worry, everything has been covered off, and they are
Unfortunately, I'm going to disagree a little bit with you, because I'm going to suggest that not all the people who go to that temple were born in Calcutta. No, more and more were going to be born in New Zealand, and sooner or later, those guys are going to put up probably big money to put some kind of building in place.
Magnificent building.
It'll be a magnificent structure, and then their kids or their grandkids will come along and say, "What's all them noisy people doing in their cars out there?" And they've got a point. They are quite correct in saying
Which is
that.
exactly why on the title of the sale and purchase there is a clause being inserted into the title that there can never be any complaining about the noise.
He's all over it. He's all over it.
Can we not encourage them to go somewhere else? Not because they're bad people by any means,
too late
but because
now.
I can see the future.
We traversed this at council at length.
Yeah.
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 I thought
the,
it was
the protection's
okay.
already in place, and we
Yeah.
can't, talk about what may or may not happen in 50 years' time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then is reasonable to understand that the other properties are not up for sale.
But they can't move in and make a complaint, is sort of the point, right? They can't
Yes.
move in and make a complaint. So much differently to in the city centre where people can move in next to a live music venue and complain the same day.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Because they had a meeting there the other
Yeah.
Sunday on a particularly bad Sunday for the or a busy Sunday for
The property group at council are all over this problem, and if there were any future sales, which I'm not aware of any at this stage, they will all be fully protected in any causing, so don't worry.
There's nothing commercially feasible alternatively for the other properties.
At this stage. Anyway, so.
Just the Hindu temple, who really, really, really wanted it and didn't care about the noise.
It's unusual.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Did you say that the Speedway are concerned about it?
Well, they felt a bit guilty that all these people had gathered across the road on one of their busiest Sundays. They just, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's but
I've had a word with them as well, and I think somebody from the committee has had some reassurance from the temple that it's all going to be all A-OK. In fact, they'll probably work in with each other. Yep. But I just wonder if there's anything that we need to do and put that on like a caveat or something
it's
like
that.
It's already there. It's already done.
They were stoked with Stacey, absolutely stoked. Yeah, they're real chuffed with it. Yeah.
During the council debate, I went out in the intermission and spoke to the group to make sure that they were 110% over this, and they totally insisted that they're aware, they haven't got a problem. And I spoke to Bruce Rendell Property, and he said everything is covered in caveats and clauses in the sale and purchase, so there is no risk.
You could invite them to meet with the board and have a
and to be honest,
afternoon tea kind of thing.
Yeah, if the Speedway and so forth wanted to make a submission or deputation on the day that decision was being made, they were welcome to. It was in the open agenda. So.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Catch up.
Yeah.
Moving on. Mark, you've got something else to say?
Just wanted to, I guess, make a big sing out to the staff. Maratiki Hornby Centre is going really well. It's a really great place to go and just sit and read and do stuff. It's becoming my home away from home, which is great. It's nice to be able to be there and in the public spaces. Seeing the families coming and going from there is just phenomenal. Seeing the schools coming and going from there. Yesterday I was there in the South Hornby School. We're coming in to do some podcast work with the Creative Spaces team. There was Hornby High students going in for swimming, and it's just a real buzz and a great asset that's landing on the community. And then further to that, and Tyler might want to be aware of this one, there's a pool party tomorrow with YCD. So they're putting on a pool party with free kai and drinks, as well as barber and
I need a haircut.
and DJ, and there's a Manu competition, brother.
Oh, I want to give everyone else a chance.
So could be cool for like the members to pop along and have a look at this and enjoy some time at the party and see how this is landing in the community. So
What time is it, Mark?
it's from 7 till 9 tomorrow. So feel free to come along and join the youth having a whole bit of fun down there. So otherwise, I think everything's going really well. There's a number of cases I'm working on with community members, resource consenting and all sorts of different things. So there's a lot going on, but hey, it's what we're here to do.
Am I able to ask the question of you? How's the library going?
Library's
it's
going
busy
amazing.
as well?
Yep.
Pretty well.
I was talking to the manager there, and he was saying that the first week they had something like 4,500 people through the library, quieting down a bit to 3,000, I think, the following weeks. But it's averaging around about 4,000 a week, which is just phenomenal. They're blown away. All the different activities they've got in there in the different spaces. People are just thoroughly enjoying it. And it's great to see the Hornby High kids coming across after school. And one of the days I was there, they were doing a movie with popcorn session with them, where they had a boy in the 3D visualization room. And it's just amazing to see people interacting and loving the space. So thank you to everyone for getting this off the ground and done. And the community is absolutely loving it. One of the things we do have to work on, though, is I've heard from member of the community about trying to get a shuttle operating around Hornby to try and get people to and from the facility.
I think you do need
The buses don't run there at present. Already talked to ECAN to try and get the routes altered to get buses to the door, but that's going to prove quite tricky, I believe. So whether there's something for us to work on as a community board, is perhaps looking to work with the community care centre, the Hornby Club, various avenues to see if we can't find a way of getting a shuttle.
Bring back the yellow bus, I reckon.
I think so. Worth a go, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's very busy, the Hornby, the shopping mall.
Yeah.
And it's very pressurised. And so if you get people out of there to the pool and library. Yeah.
And it could be good for the community care centre as well, the way of a shuttle from there to the pool and library. There's some interesting dynamics I think we can work on.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I've got Hank and then Sarah, and hopefully that's...
And actually, one other thing I'll mention, I've been continuing to work with Andrew Hensley.
All right.
He's proving incredible. As always, he's doing great work for our communities. But the High Road, St Bernadette's crossing, we're still working on that with Andrew. And another one that came across my path was Gilberthorpe's on Buchanan's. I'm trying to work on a safe crossing point there for the school. A couple of things that Andrew's got sort of bubbling away.
Right. Okay, thank you, Mark. Hank?
Yeah, just to carry on from the pool thing, there's been some really good feedback on the women's only time. That doesn't preclude adjusting times or something, anything, but yeah, it's been really well received, which surprises me. But
I'm a bit surprised.
It's been really popular at Linwood.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People rave about it. So maybe us guys are doing something wrong in the pool. I don't know. but they really get excited. So good. Well done.
Thank you, Hank. Sarah?
So I've had a little bit to do with some schools in recent weeks, which has been fantastic. Marie and Sam came out to St Thomas's and made some good connections there, and I've just really encouraged by what council staff can offer the schools, and we can as a board, and facilitating connections between businesses and schools and community. So really looking forward to what else we can do in that space. I was actually experienced this. My son and I went to catch a bus because I was teaching him how to catch the bus to school on a teachers only day, and we got bumped because the capacity was full. And so I've alerted Ministry of Education to perhaps notify the ECAN when there are teacher only days. I don't know that there's anything that can be necessarily done, but I was standing with an elderly lady that couldn't catch her bus because all the school students were using the buses, and she had to walk down a lot further to catch it. And I guess this is just a bigger bus issue that there's no quick fix, but recognising that it's at capacity, and perhaps some better communication between the Ministry of Education and ECAM, so that maybe perhaps people could be informed when there's going to be, you know, capacity on buses. I don't know how we would do that, but just something to think about. Following on for the Hornby Community Care Centre, I sit on the trust board for that, and there's some really exciting things happening. We've got an architect that we're working with to transform the space into this amazing health and wellbeing hub and a community centre that has so many different things for activities, community connection, really soul-hearted, fun, awesome community networking facility. So really excited to be a part of that, and we get ownership of it on July the 1st officially. So that's when we can start moving on with all of these big plans. And I also paid a visit, thanks to Andre recommending it, to Kilmarnock Enterprises, and managed to check out all the really cool stuff that goes on there. And
it's a great place, isn't it?
It's amazing. Yeah. And I really loved chatting to all of the staff that work there, and it's just so cool to see these initiatives that are helping support our you know, less able or perhaps more like vulnerable citizens, where we can help facilitate work for them to give them a sense of agency and self-worth and well-being and make a meaningful difference. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Now, before I
just one thing I'll add is that Council is looking next week to leave its LGNZ membership, which will remove personal development opportunities for community board members.
Why are we doing that?
Great question.
Well, it's a really good question.
I'd filled my questionnaire out for the first time today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it's purely for political purposes personally, but we're told it's in the interest of value, but apparently we're not looking at the other $800,000 worth of membership, just this one. So goodness knows. But just as a heads up, so that's something that council will consider next Wednesday.
Is it the group I'm associated with are doing this?
In a word.
Now, yes, Sarah.
Can I ask one, just alluding to that? In a recent information session, there was a certain amount of money that is provided to our boards for professional development.
Yes.
And I'd like to know what that money gets spent on, or what we're allowed to ask for professional development from that fund. Helen White mentioned that it hadn't been much spent.
Well, we used it for with conference. Remember when you went?
I went for one day.
I've
gone one day.
But there was only, is there any amount allocated for not for staff training, board member training?
Well, it's professional development.
Yes.
And I guess I'm just concerned because, so I came from not within a community organisation. I stood as an independent with my professional background and, you know, background in the community, but I've had zero governance training, professional development, official standing orders training, and I feel quite ill-equipped still to be able to make informed decisions for our community. LGNZ provide a component which I haven't managed to get a chance to get into yet, but prior to that there was just documents really that LGNZ provide us, which it's better than nothing, but it's not at all sufficient. And the justification, like we fund a lot of our community organisations for, there's a workshop next week for mental health and wellbeing, leadership courses. And I just think, I wonder, why do we fund our community organisations and yet we're the ones that are here making the decisions for our community, and I've had nothing that comes close to what we offer our community. Yeah.
Might be a great memo.
Yeah, it'd be quite good to have a briefing workshop on something like that. So
the reason is we
community
haven't
members-
asked, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't,
yeah.
this is the thing, but I didn't know that I could ask. I've kind of been trusting, like, you know, doing what I know, what I think I know, but I don't know the system. I don't know the things. And so I've been trusting people to inform me of what's available. And to be honest, I feel pretty disappointed that I've only found out about this fund that exists through somebody else that shared the link to, And I'm like, come on, council, are we really equipping our elected members to do the best we can to succeed? Or are we just funding all of our community I mean, we need to do both, of course, but we can't do one at the expense of the other.
Because Mark, you didn't know about the PD fund, eh?
No.
And
Yeah,
I learned
I didn't.
I learned off Mabel, our administrator.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
So it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
And it's a
So
fund
we'll
for each board.
We'll ask staff to come back to us and see what's available.
It's definitely there.
So and I want to know, why don't they do that in the induction? Like, we need a proper induction. The induction that we got was one day at the netball, existing netball centre. I was at capacity by half an hour in. I think it went for about 5 hours. I mean, obviously the nature of the job is there's so much to cover, and I get that, and we learn as we go, but there needs to be, you know, a better way to.
So that's for the governance. Whole unit, whole governance.
Well, and again, if it is the view that we're not getting good value out of an LGNZ membership, well, maybe a good start will be making members aware of what is available to them to get that value. Would be a good place to start as well, right?
And that could replace everything that LGNZ
And
offers.
There is a major difference with this year's LGNZ annual membership, in that there has been a significant increase.
About the same as our rates increase.
But the increase that has come is largely to give us all access to the training material. We never had access to the training prior. Our council didn't see the value of it, but now we all get access to the training. So maybe it is.
Oh, thanks for that, Sarah. So we'll ask staff to come back to us and give us a briefing on.
Thank you.
What
I'm a bit sad,
Okay,
actually. Can I just say
um,
I'm sad that you're trying to leave, or some people are trying to leave this association, the National Association, because while I think they got it wrong on water, they at least had a voice on water, which was a sort of nationwide voice. And if you don't belong to that organisation, then your voice is just one council.
Well, I mean, in the last week, there's been a piece of legislation goes through that gave councils a matter of days to make a submission on, which suggests they're not particularly interested in what councils have to say. But this is a really rushed piece of water legislation. We spent the last few years opposing 3 waters. Now we've got a new piece of legislation which doesn't even strongly protect against privatisation of water. So you think our council will want to have a really, really strong voice on that matter, and saying an LGNZ would be quite important, right? So it seems like a truly bizarre time to leave.
And the other thing is, if you've got people in Wellington, they can make appointments, if they can, with in fact ministers, and get right in there. I can't see it working if we are just a separate council.
Ministers do not have capacity to go meet with 74 councillors
they can't.
They just don't have the capacity.
One of the reasons we put this decision back was so that we could hear from the community boards. So would I be right in picking up a steer from our community board that we're in favour of staying?
And I've answered the question.
So there was a survey questionnaire that went out.
So everyone's got one board member. It came out this afternoon.
Okay.
I didn't do the first one because I just hadn't. I'd forgotten about it.
Well, the council report next week, I can't see it mentioning the feedback from community boards anywhere.
I'm sure.
Still coming, because I think they did an additional survey questionnaire this afternoon. So it might be coming in late.
Can I ask a quick question that the councillors might be able to answer in regards to the water? Actually, thanks for bringing that up. But I went and bought some water from the supermarket, as you do, and bottled lovely from our Canterbury Christchurch or Canterbury site. So why is it that Christchurch has been chlorinated, but this particular artesian well can go on and sell their water? Or is that still an ongoing issue or battle with the council? Because I know that council were battling that at a time. But we're paying for water that's not chlorinated from our own city.
I'll be picking those that are bottling that water will be covering their own purity of that water.
With chlorine, if you look, they won't be using chlorine. They'll be ticking off there.
Well, what's being looked into at the moment is if it's possible for the public to have access to a couple of artesian wells where they can go and collect water in Christchurch that is chlorine free.
Well, I'm accessing that anyway, myself, but I have found a couple of others on council site that aren't chlorinated, which I won't mention. But I am just concerned that they are that the companies are able to sell our purified water, artesian water, when the rest of our water is chlorinated. I know that we were battling the whole thing a wee while ago, but I just wasn't sure if that had been completed or not. Or
Yeah,
if
well,
it's
that's basically what the legislation
there's two
enforces. Then you got the water regulator, and we've got no choice.
I know, but where does NZ where does LGNZ that you're wanting to hold on to? How they can't step in on this?
Well, they can't step in on existing water bottling consents, but yeah, and then our city situation is kind of unique because we've got pretty good grounds to remove chlorine, whereas most councils have had it for forever, and they're not actively trying to get rid of chlorine. So it's quite unique in that regard. To me, that kind of issue is an issue for this council to lobby on its own. That one in particular. Yes. But in terms of the future of water and our water entities, all councils are going to be in a pretty similar boat. So staying in LGNZ would be quite useful for that issue. But chlorine, I'd say, is probably unique, and yeah.
I think my understanding of the chlorine issue is that we get chlorine-free water, but we cannot guarantee the delivery of pure water to every household.
That's right.
Until we can guarantee that delivery, we will have chlorine.
That's right.
And we can
no.
That's right.
No, I think, and I hear what you're saying there, Henk. I think what a lot of concern is, and what I have presented to council before, and I'm happy to hand it on to anybody who wants it. It's not the problem with chlorination short term. It's the problem of chlorination ingestion long term, and so we are in that long term phase, and there's been no risk analysis done on long term ingestion, which is more harmful than not. When you could chlor it, like if something was a bit risque after monitoring, you just simply monitor and short-term chlorinate. And neither has Te Mata Arawai done a risk analysis. I've got the letter reply from them, which I presented. We know it's talking
but
about
likewise, for most councils have been using chlorine for decades and decades and decades, they wouldn't have done that either. They've had chlorine in the water for,
yeah, but they've had a higher need. They've had a high, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But once again, we're a city that doesn't have such a high need for it. But anyway, that's another subject. I'm sure people want to finish that topic.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. And so we are leaving that elected members information exchange. Totally. But before we end the meeting, I would like to jump back to number one. My apologies. I did receive an apology from Gamal at 3:29 p.m. this afternoon. I just checked my text message. So he is sending his apologies. He's unwell. Do I have a mover and seconder, please? So Mark and Helen. And
I actually texted him during the meeting and said, "Are you coming?"
No, yeah. So he did send a text message at 3:29. I hadn't checked my messages. So yes.
We need to vote on him.
Vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Okay. Thank you. And now we'll do the closing karakia. Oh. Thank you, everybody. I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.
I thought we were going to finish in 1 hour.
The live stream's still on.
Live stream's still on. Did you?
You might have finished at 6.
No, with the information exchange.